Oh, I'm in. We're good? Sweet. We're good. Apparently we're going. What's up?
How you doing?
Wednesday, June, July something. We are at not Free Play Arlington. We're at Free Play Richardson today. Little change of scenery. We're here to talk pinball and all things ball related. I'm Brennan. This is Shannon. That's Austin. We're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to talk about, we've had 2 tournaments actually since we last came on. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a table that I think we all have an appreciation for, if not a passion for. And we're just going to do a little chit-chatting. So, first off, we had a tournament that concluded roughly 48 hours ago. But first, we had a tournament that concluded a lot further back than that. That would be the June Pinball Monday tournament. Somebody won it. I don't really remember. Probably wasn't even important, so we'll just get.
So important.
It was the most important.
Do you remember who won it?
It was me.
Yeah, Shannon won
win.
it. Yeah. Oh, we have a picture.
There it is.
There it is. So yeah, Shannon won her first pinball tournament.
Yes.
Nice.
Excellent.
Hell yeah.
Day.
There it is. The smooch of the ball.
Had to kiss the ball.
So, I mean, talk about it a little bit. How was it? What'd you think? What happened?
How'd
was
you
pull
awesome.
that off?
Well, so I got a strike first game. Got a strike first table I played. Thinking that was the key.
That is the key, yeah.
Yeah, because then I'm playing everyone else that got a
Yeah,
strike
you
in the
slip
beginning.
down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not playing you guys.
You keep it low key.
Yeah, and then I was on a roll. I was just, everything was working out for me. Everything was perfect. And it was, man, I've been working for like a year and a half to get that, right? And my goal was top 5. That was my goal last month, was top 5. And then I won the whole thing. And truthfully, the best, even better than winning was your reaction, his reaction. Like, everybody was truly so happy for me to win.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was so much fun.
Yeah. No, that was definitely the happiest I've been to ever lose, really. That was a blast.
Yeah, that was fun.
So everyone was happy for you. That was kick-ass. Somehow a month eclipsed between that and our last tournament. It's weird how that happens with monthly tournaments. So we had another one this past Monday. Free Play Arlington, as usual. 7 p.m. start. That's a plug. And we had, I guess, a special guest, you might call him. So somehow the 13th ranked player in the world got word of a little pinball shindig happening up in Arlington. And so Colin McAlpine?
Yeah.
McAlpine. I'm receiving word as McAlpine. So he shows up and does Colin McAlpine stuff, and as
Plays
you
like
can
the
see,
13th
yeah,
best player in the world.
yeah, 13th best. I think 3rd or 4th in the state, which just, by the way, goes to show you how crazy Texas is as a pinball state. And yeah, so he does just about what you expect him to do, blowing up tables, setting grand champion scores. Et cetera, et cetera. As you can see, if you can see the scores back there, really wasn't even close on that last table. I'm happy to report that was the second, or the happiest second place that I've ever received. I was just hoping to be on the final table, so I'm pretty happy to come in second to 13th ranked player in the world. Those are some juicy IFPA points.
If I recall, you did give him a strike, did you not?
It's possible.
It's
possible.
Okay.
Maybe 1 or 2. Yeah,
Brennan beat him.
Yeah. So I guess that means I'm better than the 13th ranked player in the world.
Sometimes, yes.
That's probably what that means. I don't know. So yeah, it was a blast though. It's always fun. I swear. And there was, I think, what, 37 players?
Yeah,
36,
it was a lot.
37 players.
It was, I
lot
think,
of
just
people.
about as packed as we've ever seen it, save for Pinball Mania. But that's sort of a special event. But I don't know. I had a blast. What did y'all think?
I
Yeah, it was
sucked.
awesome.
Like, I did awful. It was awful. I even left early. I was like, okay,
Yeah, I'm done. It's
I
not
was
my day. Yeah.
Totally done. And that just goes to that I haven't been playing pinball. And that's something you have to play
You gotta
regularly.
practice.
Yeah.
You gotta practice.
Got to get
Yep.
your time in each day on the pinball.
That's
for
for sure.
At least once a week. Like,
Yeah.
that's usually my goal. Once a week I like to come
Yep.
to free play, and I play for hours. But
Good goal.
I've been doing stupid things like moving and
Yeah.
Who
That's
needs
tough.
that? Come on.
I know, right?
Go
I'm
play
a loser.
Pinball. Yeah, go play pinball. But anyway, it was a blast. Good turnout. The competition seems to get better every single month.
New machines have been added too.
New
so
machines.
If you haven't been there in a
the-
while, that 24, a mix of 24 that they've got there has changed up quite a bit.
Yeah, the rotations are happening at least monthly with the pinball machines. So things ran smoothly. And really, as far as a 37-player three-strikes tournament go, it was over in a pretty timely fashion. And the, I guess, inevitable result occurred. But like I said, pretty happy with second. Pretty happy with second to Colin.
Yeah, Colin's a great guy, though. I mean, it's the first time I've met him, and you know, he just it was fun to watch him play, right? Because you know, you can go read the rule sets and everything, but if you've never played at his level of competition, and you've never seen what they're doing to score, right? Because they might avoid some of the shots that I clearly would typically go after. It was good. I thought it was excellent. He's a great person too. First time I met him, and yeah, we were chatting for a while. But great guy, great attitude. Certainly deserves it, and he is a heck of a player. So
He's on a different level. I mean,
Yeah.
if you just showed up, and we had a few people who just showed up sort of on a whim, or maybe were there to play games with their kids and heard about the tournament, decided to jump in. If you were one of those people and you were watching Colin compared to just really any other player,
anybody else,
it was pretty obvious, you know, that this dude's on another level. And I mean, like we said, it's a, I don't know, I don't know if I want to call it a sport, but it's certainly an art. It's a something. It's
It's
Yep.
skill. It's something
it's
yeah.
a skilled, you know.
it was really
endeavor.
cool. It was cool hearing him. I asked him. I said, "Hey, so how long have you been playing? Period, right, throughout your life, and then when did you start playing competitively?" And so, just a little tidbit: the machine that he won on, that last machine, Tron, is the one that he very first played competitively on, and anything that earned him IPA points. So
It had
you
to
know.
be Tron.
yeah.
Match play, you did it to me again. Throwing me on Tron with Colin. Thanks.
That's a rough table.
That is a rough table. I don't know. Well, they have the LE up in Arlington too, which is
It's a great table, without a doubt.
it's a great table and also one of the like more rare, pricey tables. If
Yeah.
that's what you're into. So,
Without a doubt.
but that was a blast. And then the usual, the Goon Squad, Lynn, Don.
Goon Squad, I like that.
Yeah, the rest of the guys who usually show up and played pretty well, and of course you two.
The ones that have tables
make
in
the
their
vast
house.
majority of them. Yeah, speaking of which, Warren, where was Warren?
I think
yeah,
Warren,
Was he there in June either?
Was he pinballed out because he was? So we were at a league event.
Yeah, I know about that.
We were at a league event
Did he
same
show up?
weekend. He showed up. He was there. I think he came in second place overall. So,
Nice.
you know, I don't think he gets pinballed out.
He's
You know,
suffering
I
from
think so.
success.
something.
Yeah, suffering from success.
Yeah.
But other than that, good showing, fun time. We'll do it again next August, whatever. I don't remember the date. It's usually the first Monday.
It's a Monday. I don't have my kid.
Somebody can let you know. She knows. It's the Monday she didn't have her kid.
There you go.
One of them, yes.
Anyways, so we're gonna sort of transition a little bit here. We're gonna reintroduce ourselves actually. So just to rewind, this is episode number 2, so you haven't really missed much. We did this once last month. We were in Arlington, talked a little about Pirates, talked a little about Pinball Mania, which happened the previous month. We're in Richardson today. This is hopefully going to be a monthly thing. I'm Brennan. I've been playing for a year and a half or so. Playing, I don't know, competitively for a year or so. Basically, as long as we've been having these Pinball Mondays, I've been playing competitively. If you want to call it competitive, don't check my IFPA history. There's been somewhere. Maybe
think you
that's
got
not
me
the
beat.
case. Yeah. But anyways, and then Shannon, you can.
I'm Shannon,
little bit.
and I've been playing pinball since I found Free Play Richardson in, it was Mother's Day, 2014. 2014 is when I found pinball. I found Chris Delp was what I found actually, and
He
showed
finds
me.
you.
Well, he showed up here. It was a joust or balloon fight tournament, and he was here with a backpack with a balloon hanging off of it. And I was like, that's the guy I need to show me how to play this balloon game. And sure enough, I won the Mother's Day tournament for balloon fight because he taught me how to play. And then I played pinball, and I was like, oh, this is so much more fun when you don't have to put quarters in the machine, you know? And it's not because I sucked at pinball, so it would cost me a ton of money to play, and I just wouldn't play. And I loved it. I had so much fun, and then Chris showed me some things, and then I've met people that just show me things, and you go online and read the rules, and then you win pinball tournaments, and it's fun.
Maybe you do. Maybe you do.
Just maybe.
Austin?
Yeah, so Austin Smith, I've been playing now. I got to be honest with you, I keep losing track. It's probably about a year and a half that I've rekindled my interest. I mean, obviously, I played a few games as a kid, but I was never really serious about it, never competed. So I'd say competitively out of that year and a half, I don't know, maybe a year or so, but nothing big. It's all really the pinball money events at Free Play is really my only experience tournament-wise. So enjoy the heck out of it, though.
Well, I mean, there you go.
Yep.
You have a monthly pinball Twitch production hosted by 3 people who are into competitive pinball because of Free Play.
There you go.
If that's not a plug, I don't know what is.
And then from Free Play, I've found other people who host tournaments in their house because they have that many tables.
Yeah,
that
apparently
they
that's a
host
thing.
tournaments in their
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. You know, you go to this person's garage, and it's got 20 pinball tables in it, and he's hosting a tournament. And
Yep.
it's pretty awesome.
Well, it's such a, I guess, niche sort of passion that the people who are into it tend to be really into it. And it's also an endeavor where I don't want to say you can't lose money on it, but you can almost always, especially with the way that the prices are going for games, you can usually at least trade out for a game that you're more interested in if you have a collection. If not, if you're good enough to do that and you have the dedication to learn how to do it, rebuild, sort of touch up, go through games,
Yep.
and then flip them for even more than you made them. So, I mean, it's almost like fixing up cars in a way, although maybe not that quite time intensive, but, oh, there I am. There I am. Little upset that my most recent performance isn't updated here.
That should bump you up pretty good, huh?
I hope, man. 121st in
that.
Texas.
3 number ones,
I'm pretty cool with that.
2 number
I don't know.
twos. That's pretty
I'm
good.
pretty cool
3
with
number
that.
twos, 4
Yeah.
twos.
All right.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. So yeah, no, that'll hopefully take a little jump there. I used to pretend like I didn't care about what my scores ratings were, but I dropped that act a little bit ago, and so now I care very deeply. Anyways, yeah, Free Play pinball. It's definitely sort of I think the pinball mecca, specifically Arlington. Not that there aren't awesome games here too, like Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
But it's the place to go, in my very humble opinion.
Agreed.
So, speaking of how we got into pinball, what sort of turned us on to pinball, onto competitive pinball, I want to talk a little bit about the tables that just kind of turned them on is such a suggestive term, but it's what I'm going to use. What turned everybody on to pinball?
I'm going to go with the Mel Gibson hair on the Lethal Weapon.
Ooh.
Oh, not
we're
that
jumping
kind of
right
turn on?
into it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm actually going to have to ask you to revise your answer there. But no, just the game where you're flipping around and you usually don't know what you're doing, and I still hear people talk about how they think pinball, like, how can you play competitive pinball? It's a luck thing, right? So a lot of people still have the idea that it's like a gambling machine almost. But what really turned you onto pinball to where you're like, number one, this is fun, and number two, like, oh, there's actually like a goal to this game. There's actually things I'm supposed to be hitting. There's like different sequences here. It's not just flashing lights at me. So what was the game or games? Because I imagine probably a couple that really turned you on to pinball. Either one of you.
Yeah, I would say my first attraction to a specific game, was without a doubt Medieval Madness, and it's actually the table that's here at Richardson, one of other tables. And right in the same vein of that, if you're talking about, at least from a shot perspective, and it also happens to be the same manufacturing company, Attack from Mars. I just love them both. There's, people talk about the kinetic feel of a game and the shot lanes on it. And even though those are both very similar shot lanes, and a rule set you could argue are somewhat similar, they're just such a great feeling game from a kinetic perspective. When you make those shots, when you get those clean shots heading up the ramps, be it in the inside or the outside, I love them both. So yeah, I'd say those two were probably the ones that just really did it for me.
Pretty good answer, given that those are what I haven't looked at the pin side ratings or whatever, but I'm pretty sure those are both top 10. I think Attack from Mars was first last time I looked. They swap. They're again, like you said, they're very similar games, but you're probably not the only one who has that opinion. They're awesome games, and they are in just about every sort of pinball arcade that you can imagine for a reason.
Yep.
There's plenty of them out there, and they're still going to cost you just about as much as a new Stern.
That remade Medieval Madness there's a reason why they spent the money to remake it.
There's a reason.
Yep.
Well, what about you?
Medieval Madness was my first one as well. The rules are easy. It's not too complicated. And that was the first table. I was like, okay, so if I do this and this and this, and then that's how you beat the game.
The
you
gate
can
came
actually
down.
Beat a pinball table.
Yeah.
And I didn't know,
for all intents and purposes.
Right. You can actually complete and get to this, wizard mode and all this stuff. And then I didn't know that. And then Chris showed me. He was like, yeah, these are the rules. This is what you do.
There you go. It's a nice shot of the table on
yeah, it's perfect.
Madness.
And then when you take out the castle and it's
yeah,
so cool.
With the matrix display, and I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's roughly the same layout as Attack from Mars, and I feel like most people tend to like one more than the other, and I think a lot of that has to be due to the theme, because functionally they feel like somewhat the same game to me, with a few minor differences. I just kind of like the alien theme. I think the best part about both of them, and the reason why they have such staying power, is they're both original themes. Not that Alien Invasion and Medieval Castle Siege are original ideas, but it's not based off a movie. It's not based off an 80s hair metal band. So there's at least some sort of creativity being put into it. They're both Brian Eddy games. They're both Williams games. I mean, there's a reason, again, like I said, there's a reason that almost every pinball arcade has one, if not both of these games.
And for a long time, that was like, I would play on a different table until someone else got off of Medieval Madness. Every time I came up here, that's what I was playing.
Well,
for a long time.
There's a reason for that.
Then I found Total Nuclear Annihilation.
Yes, we are going to talk about TNA a little bit. So, I mean, I guess maybe Medieval Madness gets a nod a little bit. I do like the theme of Attack from Mars better, but I still remember the first time I was playing Medieval Madness, and you shoot the gate, and then I think you have to shoot it twice to open it the first time. Then you hit it again, and again it's noob friendly in that the biggest shot or maybe the most rewarding shot is dead center, which is not the worst design skill wise either, because it's an easy shot to hit, but it's also a dangerous shot, because it's a lot of times it'll just go right down the middle on you, or if you brick it, you've completely lost control of that ball. But that gate coming down with it has the sound effect too, the creaky sound.
Yep. And
then there's another gate behind that, and you have to break that open and then fly into the castle. And then
it grabs it.
The castle shakes, and it makes the sound
super
effect.
Cool.
It's so satisfying, and I don't know. I mean, destroying the saucer in Attack from Mars and blowing up the castle in Medieval Madness are, I think, just about two of the coolest functional effects or goals in pinball.
Very, very Pavlovian experience.
It is.
Both of them.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd rank one higher than the other, because they're both just awesome.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's the there's a recurring theme in pinball of easy to play, difficult to master. And we'll talk about that later on with one of the tables that we're going to discuss. But I think that's true of Medieval Madness and Attack from Mars,
Sure.
right?
I think that's in pinball and video games and arcade cabinets, really everything gaming-wise. Those are the ones that tend to draw me in. Are simple enough to where you can walk up and understand what you're doing, and maybe even make a little progress or sort of maybe get a slightly deeper grasp of what you want to be doing when you get better, but also at the same time that you realize this is going to take me a long time to beat, to master, to get good at. Those are the ones that keep you coming back, because you're not just getting stomped over and over or every time you put quarters in, which was the case, I don't know. I was born in '94, so I can't speak on what the pinball scene exactly looked like back then, but I imagine the vast majority, if not all places that had pinball, were you're throwing quarters in, and so you don't have to, shake down mom and dad for more quarters. You can come in here and just play and get better at it. But back then, that had to be appealing. The idea that, like, oh, I blew up the castle that time. That's sweet. And I know how I did it because it's super obvious because I just hit the thing in the middle over and over again. I think that's what gives pinball machines staying power. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy maybe the more complex ones now. I think Iron Maiden has a lot going on, but at the same time, it's a really fun game, and it's also, I know what to shoot for the most part, but there's a lot of skill expression to be had there.
Yep.
But at the same time, there's a reason, like I said, why these two games have been around for so long. They're so highly regarded. They're everywhere. They're remaking them now. They're worth, more than they were when they first came out. So those are clearly two of the big ones. But for me, what really, I don't want to say this drew me into pinball, but I don't know. I was probably 10 or 12, somewhere in that range. And we had this burger joint by our house, and it had a pinball machine. And it was maybe the worst machine to introduce you to pinball ever. Revenge from Mars. So not Attack from Mars.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Pinball 2000.
The Pinball 2000 remake. Or not really remake, I guess sequel.
Yep.
Same idea. Aliens are attacking Washington and robot Abraham Lincoln, and it's a mess. So the Pinball 2000, the whole idea is Williams basically completely, they were like, screw it, we're going to turn this thing on its head. They went all in on this idea where they have a video screen and a mirror that basically projects, that's probably the wrong word, but it projects the screen onto the playfield to where it looks like you're interacting with things. And so when you hit the shot at the center, Abraham Lincoln punches alien man in the face, but I think functionally it completely threw me for a loop as to what pinball is. I don't know. Some people really like this game. It really messes with my head, with my vision. I can't.
It doesn't feel like pinball.
It's
either.
so dark, but it also has to be dark. Because of the way that the projection works. So that throws me off. I don't know. It certainly didn't draw me in. I mean, I always played it when I went there just because they had like that and like a claw machine or something like that, and I don't really do claw machines. So I usually, put a couple quarters in it. But at the same time, I always left being like, wow, pinball sucks. How do you play this game? It's like some weird, like, mechanical video hybrid, and I don't know. Thinking back on it, I mean, that's really cool. That's really innovative of them to try that, but it killed Williams. I mean, it killed Williams.
Well,
killed him dead.
It was kind of a misguided approach, right? I mean, if you look at it, and I mean, honestly, we could probably spend an entire episode on this, but the short history of it is this, right? Pinball 2000 was designed to save pinball. And their misguided concept, as if you may call it that, is they wanted to bring more computers into it. And so the whole system is based off of a now defunct Cyrix 586 processor for those of you who want to win the quiz with your local pinball community. And that's also the reason why you see a lot of them tanked. So there's been third-party code that's been created, one by Nucor. They had a license issue over it, now by Pinbox. So the cool thing about it is, if you look at it from the perspective of what they were going to create, right, the Episode 1 machine they created afterwards, you could actually swap the playfield. They came in with the playfield swap kit just for that. The original one requires an additional Prism card to run the ROMs. I mean, I could give you the whole spiel because I happen to be restoring 2 of them right now. So the point is, it's interesting. You're right in that the original design, if it's in the wrong lighting, it's almost unplayable. And so you've got to have it lit properly. And you're right. If you take that mirror out of the equation on the original screen, the image is upside down.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
So yeah, you look at that and you've got to reflect it. So anything that you have that is, I guess you'd say, designed like that, and you don't really account for the lighting. Like I've seen some people put green balls on the playfield.
I've seen that too.
I'm red-green blind. So forget that. I mean, you basically have to have the spotlight over the game for me to see anything. So if you look at the lighting on that game, you've really got to have it in a controlled environment, controlled setting, and so when it is in that controlled environment, controlled setting, then you also remove the element of I can't shake the machine. Why? I've got about 90 pounds of gear between the CRT and the dadgum computer sitting on top of that thing. And why do I know that? Because I've taken that head unit off and removed it by myself. It's an exercise. It's a brick, man. Oh my gosh! It's like moving a sack of concrete that's already set, and it's wrong position. It's wrong everything. It's totally working against you. But yeah, it's an interesting table to say the least, and you don't find many of them. But I've actually got we've got that one, and we've also got we still have an Episode 1 playfield new in box. I bought a new in box playfield kit for it, so that's a project underway.
Yeah, I'd say that's a project.
Yep.
I've never played Episode 1. I imagine, given the whole concept of Pinball 2000, it wouldn't exactly draw my attention in. But
there you go.
At the same time, I guess props for trying something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it killed him. I mean, it really did. It was such a flop that they just said, screw it, we're doing slot machines. So that was RIP to Williams. Aside from that, it was, I was 10, and then I guess 2 years ago around Thanksgiving, my dad texted me. He was like, hey, I bought a pinball machine. And I knew he was into pinball. I knew he liked pinball, but I guess I was just unfamiliar with even the concept of owning one,
Right.
And,
wow, you can own one of these,
yes,
right?
obviously now my eyes are open that people own pinball machines, they own arcade cabinets, they own, all this stuff, and I don't know why I couldn't connect the dots there. That you just buy them. You don't have to have a license or something. Yeah, you just buy them. But I was like, okay, cool. And so he had a Williams Comet. That's an 80s game. There's I think 3 sort of carnival fair themed pinballs. None of which, I mean, nostalgia wise, I love Comet because it's one of the games that really got me into pinball. It's definitely one of the games I played the most, but it's slow. It's not particularly exciting.
It's a fun game though. It's a very fun game. I like Comet.
It has the first ever million-point shot. So it's hard to explain, but there's a ramp, and then there's like 3 consecutive circles. And if you can hit the very farthest one, it's worth 1,000,000 points. It's like an Evel Knievel type jump. There's like a little motorcycle dude on the playfield. That's the idea. Is you're jumping, buses or something. I don't know, but it's really cool. It's definitely one of the most satisfying shots I've ever seen in pinball. But at the same time, and we set that thing up just about as nasty as we could get it. I mean, we had that thing tilted. So the typical, I think, is like 6 degrees, and we had that thing just cranked up as far as we could get it. But there was no making that the game that I was looking for, which was a sort of fast, sort of twitch reflex. You're
not making that an Iron Maiden.
No, you're not making that an Iron Maiden.
No.
You're not making that a TNA. You're not making that an Attack from Mars. So ultimately it went. But it was there for, I don't know, a year and a half. And I don't know. We played the crap out of it. Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
So there's that ramp over there on the right that I was talking about with the little Evil Knievel motorcycle about to fly off. Um, and I never rolled it, but my dad rolled it multiple times. My brother rolled it multiple times. So that was another issue. We also had the settings just about as gross as we could get them to without making it just not fun. But, the extra balls were, I don't know. You'd end up with like 5 of them stacked up, and I don't know. Eventually it wore its welcome because I started to seek out other pinball venues to play. I was like, this is fun. Pinball as a concept is fun.
Yes.
This table, on the other hand, has it's sort of hit its ceiling in terms of replayability.
Not a complex rule set, right? I mean,
No, not at all.
You start bringing in the elements of complexity of rule set, and you add a whole other dimension, right?
Yeah, it's hit the ramp, it's hit this, then hit the ramp, hit this, hit the ramp.
Yep.
That does get a little bit. Once I got past the idea of a pinball machine being something that you can get good at, the idea of hitting the ramp in the middle over and over and over and over and over again kind of got old. The games, similarly to now well-regarded games, because again they have a lot more going on. They were not made in the 80s, like Lord of the Rings, Simpsons Pinball Party. Those are both really well-regarded games, really deep games, fun games. But there's also more stuff to hit. Like, you're not just hit this ramp, hit this ramp. You're forced to shoot all over the playfield. You're definitely not forced to shoot all over the playfield on Comet. So I started looking at other venues, started looking at Free Play. I think Free Play Arlington had just opened. Free Play Denton was just a twinkle in Corey's eye. And so I started looking at other places. So I came here, I don't know, probably a few months, February, March, I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. In fact, I probably could. I think it was March, actually, where we showed up, and it was like, oh, they have Attack from Mars. They have all these games that I've heard about but I've never played. Because at that time, I'd become obsessively, not researching. It was more of a pleasure activity, but searching through Pinside and searching, pinball forums and just looking at, oh, this game looks cool. This game looks cool. Wow, that game's really expensive. People seem to really hate this game and stuff like that. So when we found Free Play, it was like, oh, they have like all these games that I've heard of. This is badass. And so I showed up. We played a little bit. It was fun. And then I saw a game on Pinside that had either just come out or was about to come out called Total Nuclear Annihilation. And it was like neon purple and bright and like flashing. The light show was insane. And it had like this weird like techno, like really bassy like soundtrack. And I mean, the sound of the Comet will forever be burned into my head because it just goes over and over, and it never stops. And it's the same thing over and over again. And your games are like 30 minutes long because it's not a hard machine. So that got old, but the idea of like, oh my, this is a badass soundtrack. And apparently there's like multiple songs on it, which I would come to find out later. But I was like, wow, that is really cool. And so by that time I had followed them on Facebook, Free Play Richardson, and I saw a post one day. It's like, bam, just in, Total Nuclear Annihilation. Come play it now. One of the like most hyped new games out there. And it was like, oh yeah, I am. And I was still living in Dallas at this time, so I was like, yeah, we gotta go. So we came up. I brought the family just because we'd all, played the Comet at that point. It was in our sitting room, and so we'd all sort of at least dipped our toe into the pinball water. And so we all came up and played it, and nobody else seemed to really care so much about that game, but just everybody had a good time because it's Free Play, and that's what you do at Free Play. But because I followed them on Facebook, I saw there's an event coming up. They're having a launch party, which I don't think I've seen since then for a pinball machine. I think that's speaking just to the hype level that this game had, at least around here and definitely online. We had a launch party for it, and so I was like, yeah, I gotta go. Because I was like, oh, I guess people have pinball tournaments. There's competitive pinball. That's a thing.
It's a great story though. We talked previously a little bit about Stern, and we talked previously a little bit about JJP, and the backdrop. And I know you'll probably get this too. But that was the cool thing for me about the launch party is, Scott Danessy, his background is in IT work, and he is by trade. His expertise is in SQL, right? Structured Query Language Programming. So he's database administration, right? So he takes that skill set and he applies it to another love that he has, pinball. He uses off-the-shelf components, basically a home brew kit. The entire guts of it are listed on scottdanessy.com. You can look at it. It's based on depending on where you see it cited, you will either call it P3 or P cube multimorphic pin system. He lists all the boards that he uses from P3. You could download the code. He's got the ring set, everything listed on his site. So in theory, you could buy everything listed on his site. And you could rebuild one. But the fact that he went out, he had the desire. Spooky picked it up. Spooky's basically a pinball shop. We haven't talked about it a whole lot. I think we've mentioned them in passing, but it's you can look at their site. They're a pretty good sized warehouse, mind you, by most people's standards. But at the end of the day, it's just a few thousand square feet of warehouse space in Wisconsin. Family that's making pinball machines. And it's a great kind of, I think, if you look at a small business story, right, and the fact that they picked up the production on it, I think 2 years. I think he dreamt up the concept in 2015. They started production in 2017. And this massively great little setup, right, on a solid-state pin that, quite frankly, in my opinion, if you were looking to teach someone just from a coaching perspective, a pinball machine they should learn from, I think most pros would tell you, pick up Total Nuclear Annihilation and just sit over there and learn on that, right?
It does. It has everything that you could ask for, save maybe like ramps, I guess.
Yep.
But even then, there's not a whole lot of technique involved in hitting ramps other than just practicing your aim. It's in a really weird space where it's like retro but also modern at the same time. And I think that's what probably initially drew me in is it was sort of innovative in a way that I hadn't seen in pinball yet, just because I was unfamiliar with any companies that were currently making pinball besides Stern. And keep in mind, this was 2 years ago, so this is still a new venture. This TNA came out in 2017. So we had the launch party, and I showed up, and I met Chris. And he was like, hey, we have a community group. You should join. I was like, okay, cool. And I brought my girlfriend Amber, and she was like, okay, cool. And so we played. It was like a 3 or 4 hour, basically just a best score tournament, an hourly thing where whoever got the best score in an hour won something, a shirt or something like that, or a gift card. And I don't remember exactly. Yeah, there I am.
There it is.
Nice.
So I showed up, and I'm pretty sure I was either the first or second person to play, but I put what is still to this day my best score ever up on Total Nuclear Annihilation. It was, I think, 2.1 million, something like that.
Nice.
Which I don't even think I've come that close since. But
Destroy the reactor with 3 balls. That's your.
yeah, that is the key, and I think I did that once or twice, which really did it for me. But yeah, I ended up winning, and that's another thing. Apparently they have their own cassette tapes. That's badass, and that's how I knew
cigarettes.
that. Yeah, that's how I knew they had their own.
No, retro
nope,
cigarettes
not
cassette
cigarettes.
tape.
It's a cassette tape, which I missed that era, but I still have it, and it's got like the entire soundtrack on it, which again is sort of just speaking to the new retro thing that they're going for. I guess I don't really know how to describe it, but
Yeah, I was deterred from that table because of the retro feel of it. Like it to me, it looked and it played kind of like an older table.
Yep.
And I of course was just hitting it, and I wasn't catching it, and I wasn't aiming, and the ball was draining all the time, and I didn't know what was happening. And then it became the pinball table of the month on the community site, and so that's when I typically start to learn a table and enjoy it. Well, if it's in Denton or Richardson and it's a table of the month. And I'll come up here as often as possible and try to beat everyone's high score. And that's when I learn all the rules, and I learned TNA, and it's now like my favorite table currently.
It's certainly a top 3, if not number 1. I think it's my favorite table ever.
And I still, like, I want to get past level 6.
so
You know what I
hard.
mean?
It's so
And then I found
hard.
it's got a co-op mode.
Yes.
So that came later, yeah. That came with the code update.
Yep.
Oh,
which-
see, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that
it
wasn't always
did. That,
there.
it wasn't on launch. That came with a code update somewhere. I think they were beta testing it. Not at this year's Texas Pinball Festival. Which, by the way, if you're remotely interested in pinball and you haven't been to this, you are doing yourself a severe disservice.
You got to go.
You have to go. And even, by the way, even if you're not interested in pinball, it's still awesome.
Mhm.
It's just a fun time. But they had, I think the first year I went, it was 2 years ago, they had like a beta where they were sort of testing the co-op mode, and now it came out in a code update
Yeah, so
over a year
instead
ago.
of just having 3 balls to try to get as far as you can in the game, you have 4 players with 3 balls. So you get 12 chances to get
And
as,
even
that's the way I
then-
look at it. I don't want anyone else to play.
Yeah.
I'm playing co-op by myself.
Even then, it's beyond difficult.
It is. I mean, I think 6 is the highest I've gotten, and that was co-op,
Co-op.
4-player, yeah.
Unless you're Bone Kearns, who the year I went to the Pinball Festival the first time blew up all 9
Yeah.
reactors and
It live, talking everyone through
live, giving
Yeah.
a live
Really?
walkthrough.
Yeah.
That dude's a freak.
That's
That's
nuts.
insane.
Oh my god.
My understanding, though, one of the gentlemen we talked about previously, Colin, also blew up all 9 reactors and finished
That
the
does
game.
not shock me.
Ball,
in the
ball
least.
won in a tournament.
Ball one.
What?
Ball
Oh,
finished the game.
I did hear
ball
about
won.
that. Dog
Yeah.
told me about that. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I almost didn't believe him, but
That's nuts.
but now that I've seen him play, I believe.
Yeah. You can do it, but man, I'm not there.
No, I'm not even a
I
third
can't
of the
hit
way
that
there.
loop. That loop gets me every time. That's where I end up stalling.
None of the shots are easy, is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're not.
So just to give a sort of a breakdown, it's sort of an homage to 70s, 80s EM
Yeah.
tables
But
where
Bali's 80s was Scott Danessie's inspiration.
That's his heyday?
Yeah,
Okay, see, I don't know.
that was his inspiration for the table. He was inspired by Bali's 80s game. So that's why, as you said, it looks modern, but it feels 80s in terms of speed. That was his
it's
inspiration.
clear that's what he's going for, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm glad he didn't kind of go all in on that
Yeah.
because there's obviously still modern touches to it. I mean,
Those slings are fast as heck. Yeah.
the slings are fast.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the ball lock in a second. That deserves its own minute.
Yes.
The light show that it puts on, everybody talks about the sound, and for good reason, but the light show that it puts on is spectacular.
I love the
Almost
vibration.
everything has an LED behind it, and it just pulsates, and it's got like a purple yellow type vibe to it. It's just in your face. It catches your eye when you walk in too, which is nice because it's situated right by the door over here. It's almost certainly, unless you're cranking up the volume in every other game, the loudest pinball machine in any arcade.
Yeah. That bass.
It's just, and you can buy upgraded sound systems for it like you can with just about any other table. But the stock sound system on this game has to be one of the best, if not the best, ever made. I mean, it is like thumping. Like you can almost see it like vibrating. The ones that have the shakers in it, I think, is an awesome touch. Especially, it scared the crap out of me because there's concrete floors here, and so when you blow up the reactors, the shaker goes off.
The
and
glass shakes, man.
the whole thing, like, it scared the crap out of me.
I was so excited. I had no idea what I did. I was like, yes.
I know, and that's, I think, part of the appeal. Like, I don't know what I
Yep.
just did, but the game
I
just
did
like
it.
vibrated.
Feels like the
violently.
machine's about to shake
Yeah,
apart.
seriously.
Yep.
So that's cool. We have the ball lock. And I think this is what, besides the co-op mode, which, again, wasn't on launch, but this was already a great party game because of the ball lock. And there aren't many games like this. The first one that comes to mind is Roller Games, which my dad also ended up purchasing, and sort of that's been an awesome party game too. That's in Free Play Arlington. But the ball lock, it's called the Denisi lock now because he's the guy who came up with it. There's no other machine that has this, but it's like 3 consecutive gates. And so you hit it in the lock, and the first gate comes up, and then you hit it in the other one, and the first gate comes up. And so, but the way it's designed, it doesn't go under the table and into a trough. It sits there. It's physically sitting there on top of the table. And so whoever it is, let's say you lock 2 of them and then you drain your ball. If you're playing with somebody else, they can walk right up to the table, hit it once, and they just stole your entire multi-ball.
Yep.
Tracy hooked me up on Monday in the tournament.
Yeah, no, and I've been hooked up, and I have served on a platter many more people than I've hooked up in that regard. But it creates its own little sort of tournament strategy where I usually don't even go for it unless there's a ball already locked, because if you serve that up to somebody, it's like you are significantly dampening your chances of
If you're
winning.
player 1 in a tournament, you're not going for it.
No, and
Yeah,
that's another thing. I usually like going first. I want to go as late as possible on TNA.
Yeah.
So that's cool in of itself. We'll see where he goes with that. I don't know. Alice Cooper, which is the latest spooky release, is a little different in that regard. There's not a Denisi lock, but so I don't know. But wait, what am I hitting, Chris? I'll let you do it.
We're going to talk about
So,
the back glass,
yeah,
I think, right?
Yeah, the art,
You got it?
Artwork?
yeah, the character.
So the character's name is Scarlet.
Yep.
I don't know why I know that, but I know that. She's also like my avatar on Discord and Xbox Live, and I don't know why, but I think it just speaks to how cool I think the design is. But yeah, her name's Scarlet, and again, this is sort of been, I guess, a theme when we're talking about these tables is originality, and that's not, again, I think Iron Maiden is one of the coolest tables to come out in the past 10 years, but it's also not exactly an original theme.
It's not.
80s metal bands is kind of been worn out, in my opinion, and I don't know how much further we can go with that, but I'm sure they will find a way to dig something else up. And
hey, if they come out with a Rush pin, they just better not do to Rush what they did to the Beatles, because what they did to the Beatles was just sacrilegious. Reskinning another pin, and oh my gosh,
I don't know.
Don't even get me
Are
started.
there any more 80s bands left
There,
to put on a table?
I have a strong feeling they will dig one up from the grave and slap it on Pinball.
I would like for them to do a Rush if they can do it justice. Yeah, I'd buy it.
I don't have too much faith in that. But
Of course,
again,
I'd also like a second Iron Maiden just because I love that pin so much.
yeah, talking heads pinball.
Talking Heads
Doing
pinball. Or
There's
the
a
Go-
0% chance that Talking Heads gets their own pinball
I love the
machine.
Go-Go's. I love Talking Heads. I love Duran Duran. I don't want to see any of those pinballs made. None of them.
Some of those bands have been done pretty dirty. Kiss is one example, but
Oh my gosh, that was just a money grab.
regardless, this is, I guess, all speaking to the
What
fact
Kiss
that this is an
thing
original
is it?
idea, original theme, artwork. You can't just slap a cartoon version of the band on there because it's not based on a band. It's based on blowing up nuclear reactors, and like Austin talked about earlier, I mean, this is almost like a pinball training machine.
Yeah.
Every skill that you need to learn, you can learn on this machine. It's super easy to post pass on.
That back shot to the lock, man.
It'll teach you how to
It's the
backhand.
most satisfying shot
It is.
ever.
I
is.
never
When Chris showed me that
try to
shot-
shoot across the field.
No.
I
No.
always backhand
Never.
it.
If I can't get it over to that right flipper, I'm not making an
No.
attempt at the lock.
No,
right?
I'm not trying it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Which again, that teaches post passing and backhanding shots.
Yep.
And just really just playing safe in general. You know, pinball is really a huge like risk reward exercise into. Okay, I can get a ton of points, or I can start multi-ball and shoot this, but if I miss it, there's a really good chance I'm never going to get it back.
Yes.
I mean, it's all an exercise of sort of a confidence in your abilities, and it teaches you how to hit shots on the far right and left of the play field. It teaches you how to hit sort of nasty off-angled scoops, which is how you have to start the reactor.
Yep.
It's got an interesting mechanic where if you put it into the upper play field, you got a mini flipper up there, and you got to smack it around up there enough to where it starts your reactor. It's kind of got just about everything that I can think of that's a relevant pinball skill. Again, things like ramps, toys. There's not besides just accuracy of hitting those shots, there's not a lot of things I can think of that are related technique or skill-wise there.
Howdy, boys.
But
Howdy.
what's up? But like I said, this is almost a pinball training kit, but at the same time, it's also a blast. I feel like it dominates arcades. It's so popular that there's one in Arlington and there's one here in Richardson.
It's my favorite pinball, and it
You're not
definitely
the only
taught
one.
me how to play pinball. As you said, it can. Practicing all those techniques. Also soft catches.
Yep.
Dead drops.
Dead flips.
Dead flips, yes. Sorry, dead flips. What's the other one where you have it up like this? You let the ball come out and you just drop
Drop
it.
catch.
Drop catches.
Drop catches. You
Like-
get it out of the scoop and
All of those are absolutely critical to playing the table well. And the first time you play the table, it's in your face and it's big and it's loud and it blows up and all this stuff and everything is happening. And I know when Corey first put it out here and had the employees actually trying it out, their reaction was always, it's so fast, it's uncontrollable, it's like cool, and cool stuff happens, and then the game is over, and bang, bang, bang. But, like, it teaches you the techniques, and once you learn them, you're controlling that ball, and it's not such a bad table. In fact, Colin can beat it in one ball because you're just controlling the ball, and it gives you every opportunity to do that.
it wants you to play fast, but you are rewarded for playing slow, which I think is my biggest hurdle, and I think getting better at pinball is that I really want to play fast. Fast is fun. Fast is badass. Fast looks flashy when you can just boom, 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 hit everything you want by just slapping it around. But at the same time, you are rewarded on this table for catching the ball, taking deep breaths, saying, okay, what do I need to hit here?
Do you guys own it?
I do not. I
don't own that one
I
either.
play
Gotcha.
it frequently in Denton because Don has one, but I don't.
I mean, we
own
have it at all the free plays
Yeah,
right now.
so-
I
right? Do we have it in
think
Denton?
I don't think it's in
it might
Denton.
it might be the only table that is at all three, unless it's recently been removed from Denton. That was what I was going to mention. At one point, let me say, at one point, I think it was the only table that was at all three free play locations.
Well, there's a reason
We
for that.
definitely have 3 of them in the free play system.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're all on the floor at the same
Yeah.
time, who knows?
Right. Well, we got Fort Worth opening up soon, so it's.
And
I mean,
and
it's
have
so
a new one
good
for
that
it. You have a new one for it, right? Isn't there a fourth one that's for Fort Worth?
maybe.
I think.
You're probably right. I mean, we're really committed to that table. Like we like what Spooky's doing.
Yep.
With the originality of their tables, they're really living up to their craft boutique pinball sort of montage or mantra, and that particular table is just the best of the best. It immediately rises to the top, and they're making a second run through of production in that, I believe.
Yes, they are.
So
Yep.
it's sort of like, they're doing something like Alice Cooper, which has got a limited release, and they'll do a couple of those.
Yep.
Or, what is it, 600 of those?
Right.
And then they're done with that, and then they go back to Total Nuclear Annihilation.
Well, and that's, again, one of the things we necessarily haven't talked a whole lot about is like the availability of parts in the aftermarket, right? Obviously there's a lot of Marco Specialties and others that we could talk about that are very good about making parts available, but just the fact that you can get literally the boards from Multimorphic, you can get just every component on that system is available, and it's listed on Scott's website. That to me is really cool. I don't know of another pin out there that's true of.
Let's see, what else do we have? What else does TNA do that other pinballs don't do? Okay, so there's not a wizard mode. And I guess just for those who aren't as familiar with how pinball works, usually if you complete enough modes, complete enough tasks, hit enough things, flashing shot, shoot me hit flashing shot. If you do that enough, you hit what's called a wizard mode, which is sort of like your grand finale, your pat on the back, you're a badass, here you go. It's usually a multi-ball with a ball save that's like 30 seconds, and you're just you can just close your eyes and just smack that thing around and just get a bazillion points. It's usually just sort of your grand
But
hurrah.
the worst thing ever is to work so hard to get to that wizard mode
One shot
and
away.
drain your balls
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like you
I've had
lit
it
one
lit.
shot or
You
whatever.
have it lit. Yeah, you just nope, can't do it.
Yeah.
But that's how that
Blow it.
works, and it doesn't work like that in this. It's nine reactors, right?
Yeah, it's 9
yeah,
reactors.
so there's 9 reactors, and you get them by hitting the keypad that's sort of in the middle, which is just a terrible shot to hit unless you're in multi-ball, because it's usually going to drain your ball. Then you got to hit the loop, and then you got to get in the upper playfield, and then you got to smack that around enough to start your reactor, and then you got to drop it in the scoop, and then you got to hit whatever shot is lit to blow up the reactor, and sometimes it's like 3 or 4 shots,
Yep.
and then that's 1 reactor, and then you have to do that 9 times. And so you think, as is pinball tradition, at the end it's a wizard mode, and you just, oh yeah, just smack it around, congrats, pat on the back. No, it just ends. Your flippers just
Flippers
die,
It just shuts off.
and it's just a walk off. You just drop the
Drop the
bat,
mic and leave.
Yep, and you walk off, which I think is an interest. I don't think I hate that. I don't know.
No, I
it
guess
would
not.
feel
You beat
weird.
the game.
It
You
would
beat
feel
it.
it would feel weird in a game like that. I think
Yeah.
a wizard mode.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
I don't hate that. I've heard some people who kind of complain about that, but honestly, if you're getting that far, I don't know.
You can set it up to brutal mode, right? There's like 4 different settings. So you can set it up to brutal mode, and I think at that point, everything beyond reactor 3 takes 9 shots. I mean, something crazy like that, which usually that's reserved for
Oh my God.
like reactor 6 and above. So, I mean, if you set it to that mode, and then some of your other shots are ridiculous too. Like some of your side shots outside of the reactor destroyer are like 27 shots in brutal mode. I mean, it's just nuts, right? So you could definitely dial it up, if you wanted that difficulty.
Can
But
you dial it down?
I mean, it's
Yeah,
such an easy game that you almost have to dial it. It's just so easy to beat. That
yeah,
I can't believe that mode even exists.
right.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
there's
for
like
guys
4.
like Colin.
You can make it easier without a doubt. There's like 4 settings between easy and brutal, I think, on the matrix of difficulty.
I'll
gonna
keep
start
it
a
on
petition.
whatever it's on right now.
Yeah,
Let's just
it
start
is good.
there, and
It is good where it's at.
when I'm blowing up the reactor left and right, then we can talk about that.
Yep.
And you have a game where you're like, I mean, just earlier I was ball 2, and I was at 800,000, which is pretty good ball 2, and I was
Not
about
bad.
to blow up the reactor. Something happened, but typically that score you're on reactor 3, but I was only on reactor 2, or I was about to finish reactor 2 with that score. So you can get a better score.
Well, that's the other
And
blowing it up with 3 balls.
Yeah.
I mean, which is hard to do. You have to time it all right. But tripling your jackpot for blowing it up, I mean, that's hard to do. So you could easily, you could. I don't know how much.
So I think when you first start, it's got a killer ball save. It's what, 15 seconds or so?
I think it's 10.
10 seconds.
think it's 10.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Pretty
time
generous.
to hit that keypad.
Yeah.
So your first
just
ball, nail that
smack it,
keypad.
smack it, smack it,
yeah.
smack it.
And then you go for your ball save or your ball lock, and try to short plunge it into the drop to get it into the scoop.
I saw a lot of people doing that.
Yeah.
Especially this past one. I was talking to Jake about that, and I don't think it's worth it. Because the skill shot will, if you hit one of them, it gives you a ball save.
Like the no hands, the no hand skill.
The no hand one, I think, gives you a ball save and starts
the no hand
reactor.
will advance the reactor, whatever stage you're at, it advances.
But the
that
regular
forward.
one gives you a ball save, which is crazy good. I mean,
Yeah.
that's almost an extra ball. If you're good enough at it, it's almost an extra ball. And so I saw a lot of people doing the short plunge to the right flipper to lock the ball.
Well, you're
was wondering if
kind
it
of
was worth
going
it.
for the skill shot, but you don't want to overdo it, because if you underdo it, you're good. It
Yeah.
drops it, you catch it with your right flipper.
It's better
and
to under
backhand
than to
it.
overdo it. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess
But-
that's another thing that I forgot to mention too. That's really unique about this game is the ball save. So rollovers on a pinball machine sort of refer to, usually referring to the in lanes and out lanes, the one that drains your ball and the one that saves your ball back to your flipper. They have little sort of metal triangles usually. Those are your rollovers, and most of the time they do something beneficial, but usually not crazy. It teaches you to pay attention to your rollovers, and you can switch those by using the flippers. You can move the lights, and you want to hit the unlit ones almost always. So in this one, if you hit all 4 of your unlit rollovers, you'll get a flashing white ball save on one of the lanes. And you can switch that by hitting either the flipper. If you hit the left one, it'll move over to the left. If you hit the right one, it'll move to the right. And you can save your ball that way. And you
I
can
missed
even...
it by this much in the tournament twice.
it's hard because you're
Yeah.
trying to save the ball.
Yeah.
You're trying to nudge the table and save the ball, but at the same time, you have to be thinking like, oh, crap, I got to move my flashing white light over. And it's also good for multi-balls. Let's say your ball save's about to run out in multi-ball, and you're not about to drain the ball, but a ball's coming back to your right flipper, going through the in lane. You can switch it over there, too, and just get a brand new ball save. And so there's a lot of creativity, but also skill and technique, and you have to be thinking about like 3 bazillion things at once to pull it off well.
It's the first table I ever caught all 3 balls on one flipper, and I was so proud. Look what I did!
Look what
I
I
was
did,
so happy,
yeah.
and then I was like, now what do I do?
And then I watched Colin do it like on demand this past Monday. I was like,
Alright.
oh man, I suck. But I mean, just everything about this game, just number one, it screams free play because it's very 80s,
Yep.
but also at the same time very like retro wave, vaporwave, like hip at the same time, if that makes sense. It's pushing boundaries, but also calling back to a simpler time. It's just badass. I don't know.
It's all
just
about ball
badass.
control. You can't just hit the ball in this game. You got to catch it. You got to hold it. You got to aim. You have to. It definitely taught me a lot. This game taught me a whole lot when I actually was playing it correctly.
Well, that's why I'm glad it was one of the first games I really got into, is that it did. It taught me a lot. And I came back up here to play really just it specifically. Obviously, I'm playing other things as well because I want to give people a turn on it. But it was enough, that game alone. If TNA was the only game in here and it was just an empty room, I would still would have shown up and paid the $10 at the door because it's just that cool. So
that month that it was the table of the month, I was up here for 8 hours.
I remember, and I think you beat me, and I was so pissed.
Yeah,
I was
8
like, "Who's
hours.
Shannon?"
Like, they legit had to come. They were turning off all the tables around me and trying to kick me out. I was the last one in here, and I was here for 8 hours playing that one table.
telling you,
I'd
it's
walk
that
away
good.
in case someone else wanted to play. No one walked up and go back.
Yeah, all right.
And it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
I think I got 2 million. I got
2
over
million
2
is
million.
a really good score.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even a million, if you had a million in a tournament, depending on the level of the tournament, you're usually in pretty good shape. But 2 million is a really nice score. It's a low-scoring game, but at the same time, you have to really earn your points.
Definitely.
So I think it balances up. All right, we're sort of wrapping things up now. We're coming up on 8. So
Let's just recap real quick who won the June pinball tournament.
I think that was lost in the records, lost in the archives. Nobody really remembers. Somebody
Austin
won
remembers.
it.
I remember.
Who was that?
Yeah, that was Shannon.
That was
Ah.
Shannon.
There you
Shannon
go.
won.
Apparently it was
That's
Shannon.
awesome.
And
Who
Brandon
knew?
got
Good job.
second after Colin.
And then-
There you go.
last
Yeah,
this month. So
Yeah, I don't have a cool picture of me kissing the ball though, so it's actually not
you have a
quite
picture
as
with a
impactful.
boombox. So there's that.
Let's do. I do.
That's
Have,
pretty
I
cool.
have a picture of the boombox and a cassette tape, whatever that is. So Shannon wins her first Pinball Monday, June. There it is, all its glory. You wearing the same shirt? No, it's not the same
No,
shirt.
it's not the same shirt.
Just
Let me
black
tell you a
and
funny
just a
story.
big black
so,
and white shirt.
So that black and white shirt's one of my favorite shirts, right? So typically I'll wear it on a Monday because all my laundry is clean and I like it. So Chris posted this picture on Monday, right? While I'm at
Yeah.
work, I see it. And I was wearing that same shirt. So I had to go to Walmart and buy a T-shirt and some jeans because I was wearing the same shirt. I was like, if I win, I'm going to have to take a picture in the same shirt as I was wearing last month.
I'd have been like, screw it. This is the lucky shirt.
I got a Dallas Star shirt out of it. So
Okay, you whipped that
that's
out.
okay.
There
Yeah,
you
go
go.
Stars.
Win-win.
We talked about that. July Pinball Monday. Colin, Austin-based 13th player in the world, materializes in Free Play Arlington, and surprise, surprise, he wins. So I came in second. We're bumping that IFPA number up.
Yes.
We're doing it again. We do it every month. August 5th.
August 5th.
Free Play Arlington, 7 o'clock.
Be there.
Leave work a little bit early.
Flip, ball drop, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Have a couple beers. Get ready for the
Sure.
tournament.
So
fun.
I'm not the same player unless I've had one or two. So.
Yes.
So we talked about free play. We got to talk about Pinball Monday. What else we talked about? We talked about the tables that really sort of made us realize how badass pinball is. Talk about how Comet's slow and how Pinball 2000 flopped. And then we spent a lot of time talking about how badass TNA is. And let's see, it's been, I don't know, 3 weeks since it's been to Denton. I'm not sure if it's there or not, but it's here at Free Play Richardson. It's in Free Play Arlington. I have a premonition that it'll be at Free Play Fort Worth at some point.
Along
Come
with
and play this
everything
game.
else.
Yeah, come and play this game if you haven't. And if you're watching this and you're into pinball and you haven't played this game, then I don't know what's wrong with you. But
Get out there and play.
yeah, play it.
Thank you all for watching.
Yeah. Other than that,
Chatting.
we're gonna dip out. We do this every month. This is Pinballers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting, and we'll see y'all next month.
Take care. Play some pin.